Hello, my dear Franken friends, and welcome to Spookyou, your one-stop shop for all things ghastly and ghoulish. I'm your host, Barnabas Vixen. How horrible of you to join us. Curl up, invite your friends, and by all means, make sure those lights are out. That way it's harder to tell what may or may not be lurking around you. There's nothing like a good mystery, am I right? Tonight will feature a singular tale of devilish design, curated by those wicked weavers of woe. And without further ado, allow me to pass the reins on over to our vivacious voiceover virtuoso, Trey Falco, for tonight's sinister story. Please keep all limbs and side covers at all times. We wouldn't want anything to go missing now, would we?
I left the hospital a few days later with some new clothes and a few essentials Dr. Steiner had bought to help me get started with my new life. He shook my hand and wished me the best of luck, and I thanked him again for everything he had done for me. It was a hell of a lot more than most people had ever done for me my whole life. I had some basic toiletries, toothbrush, razor, shampoo, etc., along with my new clothes and an inexpensive duffel bag. I also had a check written in the amount of $20,000, which I soon deposited in the checking account I had opened at a local bank that same day, in my pocket. Next, I went about looking for a place to call home. A real home. All of my very own. I found a relatively cheap apartment in the city and made my first rent payment, plus a security deposit. It wasn't much, just one medium-sized room with a bed, table, kitchenette, and a small bathroom. But after my years of being homeless, it was like a penthouse apartment. A place where I could be warm and feel safe, and wouldn't have to worry about freezing to death in the middle of January. The next 5 months were without a doubt the happiest of my life. Maybe even the only truly happy time in my whole miserable life. I quickly found a job bagging groceries at a supermarket. It was the best I could do with my limited education and lack of skills, but it was better than nothing. And even made something I had never had before. A few friends. They also worked at the supermarket. Sometimes we'd get together after work at a bar to toss back a few and shoot the shit. I even started to flirt with a cute cashier named Nikki, who was almost a decade younger than me. Given time, we might have even become a couple. But things didn't work out that way. I was taking online classes at night to build upon my education, hoping I could eventually go for my GED. I even took a road test and got my driver's license, something I had never expected to be able to do, and used some of the money I had been given to purchase a halfway decent used car. I was still marveling at the miraculous return of my long-lost sight, and anytime I was downtown, I was amazed at how huge the city was, how tall the buildings were, how many people and vehicles there were, how fast things moved in the sighted world where you didn't have to grope around, feeling your way through the darkness, scared of what obstacles might be waiting in front of you, careful not to trip over anything in your path. People walked briskly and confident, secure in their visual ability, unaware of how easily it could be snatched away from them. Most of all, I was amazed at how colorful and bright the world was. Sometimes I would just stand in amazement, watching the sun glint off the glass of the towering skyscrapers, while people passing by gave me strange looks. Sometimes I'd sit in the park and watch the sunset, which had never seemed as glorious to me as a kid as it did then, after I had learned to truly appreciate being able to see it. For a while, I thought I actually had a real chance of leading a normal life, of being able to fit in, and be accepted by society at last, for the first time in my life. Then, about 5 months after my surgery, the headaches returned. Minor at first. They gradually increased over the next few weeks into excruciating, pounding migraines that left me nearly paralyzed in bed, unable to do anything. They were much worse than the ones I had experienced while recovering from surgery in the hospital. My eyes hurt too, throbbing in their sockets, my vision occasionally becoming blurry and even doubled, like everything I saw was a double exposure of a photograph. Sometimes I saw flashes of bright light that seemed to fill my entire head, blotting out everything else. I missed several days of work and was threatened with the loss of my job, pathetic as it was. I was terrified, wondering if I was experiencing some kind of setback, if maybe my brain was starting to reject the surgery or something, and I was about to go blind again. I even wondered if I might be developing a brain tumor. I went to a doctor about my problem, who referred me to an ophthalmologist who could find nothing wrong with my eyes. I even went back to Dr. Steiner and told him what was going on. He had me returned to the hospital where they ran a CAT scan of my brain, but once again, there was nothing apparently wrong with me. He told me it was probably just a belated effect of the procedure I had undergone, and told me that some patients experience infrequent headaches for years after brain surgery. He prescribed some painkillers for me, which took the edge off of the agony, but never fully erased it. I was, just barely, able to function again and return to my job at the supermarket. Then, about a month after the headaches had begun, they abruptly ceased. I was relieved, thinking things had gone back to normal. They hadn't. I would soon find out things had changed for the worst.
Who are you? You're not allowed to... Barnabas? Something. It's in the booth. Oh God, Barnabas. Barnabas, help me. Barnabas, please, it's coming closer. Barnabas! So sorry you had to hear that, dear listener. While our cleaning crew tackles the remains of that recording booth and our engineers try to resolve any lingering technical issues, let me tell you about one of our fine sponsors, Huxley's Cloning Facility. Let me ask you, listener, are there times in which you wish you had an extra set of hands that you could be in 2 places at once? Well, with a simple and somewhat painful process of DNA extraction, that wish could finally come true. Huxley sports state-of-the-art cloning facilities that are just outside of FDA-approved standards. What does this mean for you? Better, faster, more compliant super clones. Why go to those other guys when you could come by Huxley's? I mean, we're here right now, brewing up another fine narrator. Gestation period is only 2 hours. Hurry and get your clone today before it's too late. Oh, what? Oh, cut that part out. Oh, sorry. Huxley's, because our you is better in every way. Now that our announcer is back in the booth and has finally achieved a normal sense of motor control, back to your story.
One early evening in mid-October, I was driving home from my shift and was stopped by a red light at a crosswalk. I sat there idling, not thinking about anything in particular, while a stocky, middle-aged businessman in a designer suit, clutching an expensive briefcase in one hand and arguing loudly to someone on the smartphone he was holding in the other, crossed in front of me. I watched him without too much interest, wondering half seriously if he might be the same self-important asshole who had told me to drop dead last spring, just before Dr. Steiner had come into my life. Still ranting on his phone, he threw me a passing glance, and his face changed. I froze in my seat, my hands involuntarily clutching the steering wheel so tightly, my knuckles turned white. It was the same thing I had seen happen to the girl jogging, only this time, his face didn't return to normal after a second as hers had. It was as if, once my brain had registered the change, it became permanent, like my brain wouldn't allow my eyes to unsee it. I saw would lay hidden beneath his normal face. It was like a patch of thick black shadow covering where his face should have been. Thick, featureless shadow, in which two bright points of red light glowed, like embers in the ashes of a fire. Two red, burning, inhuman eyes. Then he was on the other side of the street and gone. I just sat there after the light had turned green, my heart racing, my mind reeling. What the fuck had just happened?
Welcome back, my darling deviants. Well, tell me, did you enjoy that twisted tale? Of course you did. I knew you had that air about you, that hunger for the horrific and the macabre. So, did we spook you? If not, then file a complaint with our complaint department detailing all accounts of non-spookiness you found in this video, and we'll get back to you in 2 to 3 millennia. Give or take a business eon or two. However, if you've enjoyed what you've just heard this evening, then make sure you leave a like on this video and annihilate that subscribe button. Such a small act of obedience is exactly what we need to put the food on the table around here. There's only so many days we can have refried kidney and toe jam hash before I'm absolutely sick of it. Spoiler alert, that ship sailed long ago. Now, I must bid you adieu. I've many things to take care of, and this outro is eating into my day off. Run along now. Have no fear, we'll be here every Tuesday and Thursday to bring you another terrible tale. Go forth, my ghastly gang, and stay spooky.